Hey everyone, I'm Rachel, and in this tutorial, I'll teach you how to recreate Yayoi Kusama's well-known pumpkins using the Color Therapy app. As one of the most important living artists coming out of Japan, Yayoi Kusama is known for her brightly colored dots installations and sculptures. I'll show you how to recreate one of her iconic pumpkins in simple steps. For reference, this is what we're going to be working from. So you can see how we're really limited. It's just black and yellow pretty much. So let's go underneath the basic palette and just choose a basic black. Then I'm going to use a yellow orange. Now you want to tap to fill in the entire image with that yellow orange. So just tap to fill all of that in. First thing we want to do is shade the pumpkins. So open up the manual mode and select airbrush. Set the size to 42 and the opacity at 20. Now with coloring outside of the lines mode set to off, you're going to start to shade your pumpkins. The reason why we want to do it with coloring outside of the lines mode set to off is because we have all these different patterns going on, so the shading will get kind of wonky. So go ahead and you're going to just start shading the pumpkins. And what I'm doing is sort of just tracing them first, and then I'll add in a bit of shadow into the lines going down vertically on each pumpkin, as well as adding in shadows where you see the shadows naturally on the image. And continue adding shadows to all the pumpkins. And for the shadows on the bottom of the pumpkins, go ahead and layer it so it's a darker shadow. And you can also set coloring inside the lines mode to on in that case, so it really shows up right underneath and in those corners. And the pumpkins that do have vertical lines going down, you can experiment by turning coloring inside the lines mode to on, and it will sort of give you more form to it. And then you can clean up some of the shadows on the side where they don't belong, such as right here, by just selecting that bright yellow orange again and just setting the opacity to 100 and then making sure coloring inside the lines mode is set to on. And you can just erase that on that side. Now you also want to shade the back of the wall and the side of the platform. So I would just hold your finger down on a darker area of a shadow you created and just tap to fill that in. Now let's add in the dots. Select the pen tool, set the size to 35 and the opacity to 100. Make sure to turn coloring inside the lines mode to off. In the front of the pumpkin, you just want to dot 3 circles next to each other. Now let's lower the size to about 25. Now add a dot at the top and the bottom. Then lower the size down to 10% and add 2 little dots at the top and the bottom now. So they kind of are bigger in the middle and then get smaller towards the top and the bottom of the pumpkin. Now let's do another row following this on each side with smaller dots. So lower it to about 13% and just continue down, adding dots. You can leave a little space for some smaller dots at the top and the bottom too. And then lower the size to about 6% and add even tinier dots if you have room at the bottom and the top. And then you're going to follow that again and then add little tiny dots next to that on each side. Now we're going to continue our pattern. So let's just raise the size back up to 13% and add some more dots. And they can be a little bit wonky and wiggly too. That's kind of how her artwork looks. And then for the big dots, let's make those size 30 instead of 35 this time, just because they're going to be a little bit further away from us. So they're going to look a little bit smaller. Probably do about 3 or 4. Now, since the pumpkin is going to be curving away from us on this side, we need to draw our own circles and they're going to be sort of squished a little bit. So open up the pen tool, set it at about 6%. And now we're going to draw medium-sized circles that are kind of look like squished ovals. And they don't have to be perfect. Just try to make them about the same size. And then you can just lower it even more, maybe to about 3%. And then you can add those really tiny small dots, but they're also going to be little smashed ovals pretty much. Then you can raise the size back up a little bit and turn coloring inside the lines mode to on. Draw bigger circles next to that, and they're going to be kind of smashed along the side there. So you'll repeat that on the other side of the pumpkin and apply to all the pumpkins as well. Now for the stem right here, you just want to tap to fill that in with black. Then you'll just do the same thing with dots, but with yellow dots. When you're finished, remove the lines. You don't have to keep a straight line when dotting. Remember, Yayoi Kusama uses a lot of curves, so movement is great. If you'd like to see more tutorials like this, don't forget to subscribe to the Color Therapy YouTube channel so you don't miss any new tutorial videos. Thanks for watching our tutorial. You can get the Color Therapy app for free on the App Store.